Agenda.
So moved.
Ryan Schreifvogel and Curtis.
Yeah, we good.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, recognitions.
We just came through what I would consider to be a very successful winter sports program, or seasons rather. We had three of our athletes qualify for state wrestling. One individual, Gregory Martinez, got third at state. That's pretty darn good. In girls basketball, we were 17-6, and boys were 14-8. The girls were sub-state runners-up, which is a great thing. State bowling, we had three qualifiers. Braden Baston got second at the state level. Emily Dryden got 17th, so that's all good. But the other thing I really want to talk about is we hosted sub-state, first time in my time here, and I think it went very well. Kudos to Chad, Jerry, the janitors, all the people who hosted the event to get it going. They're to be commended. But I also want to give a shout out to the pep band. Hey, they are excellent. Our pep band is excellent. They do a fine job. And then really want to do a shout out for the four individuals who did the Star Spangled Banner National Anthem. That's pretty impressive for an 11-year-old young lady to stand out in the middle of the court in front of 1,000 people and sing the Star Spangled Banner a cappella. That's a hard song. So we've got a fine arts program going on as well. So the band, I couldn't be better. I mean, as far as it was good. And then obviously those singers don't just come in a vacuum. They're being coached up. So all's good stuff.
All right, let's move to Mike and financials.
Okay. On page 2 in the middle, Kennedy McKee and Company. Got the bill for the audit, $17,645.57. And then on page 3, down towards the bottom, Train, just several issues with boilers and stuff this past month. A total of $7,090.76. And then on page 4, the total warrants for this month, $218,537.42. And then on page 6 are cash balances. You notice we haven't gotten the federal funds this month because we're doing it a little earlier for a board meeting, so we haven't received those funds yet. But since they're federal funds, we can do it that way. And then page 8, our fund expense summary is looking good still. And then behind that's our transfers in the high school and middle school reports. So if you have any questions.
There are no questions. I'll entertain a motion to approve the financials at $218,537.42.
So moved.
We'll give it to Curtis and second to Ryan Ruda. Been moved and second to approve financials. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No public patron concerns. Administrative reports, Dr. Meyer.
All righty. First thing to lead off with, we had been experiencing a bank issue, not with the local, but with the corporate. I don't know how many months back. They approached Mike about, hey, would you want to do this pilot program called Positive Pay, which basically they said that way we can catch if there's any fraudulent charges or whatever, okay? So we said, all right, well, we can do that, whatever. So it gets to the end of the trial period, and so now I'm saying, well, how much is this? What's it going to cost if we're going to keep it? And one report was $4. I said, well, $4, $48 a year, whatever. But there's got to be a per item charge as well. So I sent Mike back, said, well, let's find that out. Well, come to find out, it was $70. So now, that puts us up into the $840 per year type situation. I'm thinking, why would we want something when they're supposed to be doing this anyway? So we very politely said, no, thank you. We're done with the pilot program. We're moving on. So out of the blue, the key factor in this is this guy's in Missouri. He starts to try to strong arm Mike. By saying, well, you make a lot of money on us. Well, yeah, but you make a lot of money on us, too. So he sent us a waiver that basically wanted me to sign it saying, if we move away from this positive pay thing, then we can't hold them accountable to any fraudulent activity. Well, my radar went up, of course. I said, I'll be darned if I'm going to sign that. I used other words, but being recorded here. I'll be darned if I'm going to sign that. And then I also sent it off to our lawyer. Said, is this even legal? Can we do this? Well, in the end, the lawyer wrote back and said, no, you can't sign it. There's state law in Kansas that says we cannot accept the responsibility shifting of this kind of thing. You just can't sign it. So I had Mike send the letter saying we can't sign it. And so then he sends, what finally got my chagrin enough to take different kind of action. He reached out and said, okay, but you're in trouble, too bad. Hope you don't have any fraudulent claims. It's all on you. So that's when I picked up the phone and called Mary. I said, Mary, I'm not a happy guy. Monday night I'm going to be talking to the board about this. Every year, we choose a banking institution. I know we're not your largest account probably, but we're over $15 million. I would think that matters. So Mary got active. She brought with her supervisor, a guy by the name of Paul. Basically, he walked in and said, I apologize. I apologize. And we had a good talk throughout the entire thing. So in the end, I said, hey, we're fine. I told her I was going to go ahead and talk about this tonight. But they did the right thing by my mind's eye. And basically, someone ought to be saying something to that guy in Missouri, as far as I'm concerned. But that's not my fight. But yeah, he walked in and said, I apologize for the letter. I said, well, thank you. We appreciate that. And we had a good conversation. So all in all, it's nothing. That's all, we don't just sit around here doing nothing. Sometimes we go fight with banking institutions. The second thing, Julie's transition to the tech director work. She's been shadowing Randy ever since the last board meeting. And he gave me a laundry list of things, wiring standards, locations, troubleshooting, repairing Chromebooks, installing software, driver update, and the list goes on and on and on. And I said, well, make her do more, because that's not enough. Keep going. But he's pleased with the transition. It's coming along. It's like drinking from a fire hose and or trying to eat an elephant. There's just so much to it. They'll start when they get back from spring break is the plan to interview for the technician, and we'll get them started hopefully, before the April board meeting. So, if everything passes. Final thing on here is what I like to call the Dr. Ruda update. We had our KISA team meeting with Scott County. With the two teams came together. It was a celebration. It really was. We're in a great spot. We're ahead of them, but they're a good group, even though, we have to not really like them because they're in our league, but they're doing a lot of good stuff up there. And so I look forward to a continued relationship with them. So if nothing else, we can bring this back and have the Dr. Ruda report every month. So, and I do want to say for a fact, I was there to witness it. I talk a lot, but the principals rocked it. They know their stuff, and they came off very knowledgeable, helpful to the Scott County folk, and then we were able to pick up ideas from them as well. So, moving forward with KISA.
All right, thank you. All right, let's move to buildings and grounds. Nothing further? Transportation?
Nothing further.
Food services, Monica?
Nothing further.
Does Julie have anything new for technology?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, let's move to the principals and Mrs. Albright.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I got here at 4 o'clock.
Perfect.
I wanted to highlight our Parents as Teachers program. Carrie Van Pelt does an amazing job, and she is always trying to recruit families for PAT as well as for our Wiley Playgroup, and she has grown our program to 9 families right now, 9 children in PAT, and we have really gotten a lot of participation in our Wiley Playgroup. I go down there a few times, and it's full, and so it looks like everybody's interacting and having a great time. She also does group connections once a month and different activities throughout the year. This month's group connection, we have Kara King coming in to offer infant massages and to teach families about the benefits of that and how to do that. So we're looking forward to having her coming. We are going one Wednesday a month. It's typically the first Wednesday of each month. So this coming Wednesday, the playgroup will go to the ranch in Garden City to interact and play with the residents there, and they always have a great time. So looking forward to having the ranch visits back up. We kind of had to hold off for a few months due to illness at the ranch and within our families. We don't want to go with illnesses there. So we have also started an evening play group for infants 18 months and younger. We had a need for that because those parents were always working during our morning playgroup times, so she opened that up and we've had some good success with that as well. So if you're looking for playgroup times or PAT information, please contact the Wiley office.
I do want to follow up on that just a little bit. Amy's absolutely correct. Carrie does. She does a fine job. She really does. Works really hard at it and grown the numbers. But I want to also give kudos to Amy for her leadership because objectively, I can say objectively, I believe the group at the State Department of Education, which is the most difficult with whom to work, is early childhood, the early childhood group. Transportation is kind of tough too, but early childhood was never a team unto itself until recently. So they made it a team with a director, and now they're making the work. And it's too bad. Area districts are dropping their PAT programs. Hugoton dropped theirs last year. Scott County's thinking about dropping theirs this year. We will have, while I'm here, some form of PAT, whether it's through the State Department of Education or not, that's immaterial to me, because the work in that program is so important. It's been around. My youngest son, who's 26, did PAT back in Elkhart. I mean, it's been around a long time. Just with the new leadership, and maybe they're listening tonight, it's kind of more than a hassle. But Amy's calm, cool, and collective, and calms Carrie down and say, we're okay, we're good. So, thank you.
Thank you, Amy. All right, Mrs. Tyne.
I wanted to start out just by sharing a couple of things from my BLT. I had asked if they had anything that they wanted to share with our district leadership team or anyone else. I had a couple of celebrations. One of them is the new 363 Connect program, where we have our high school students connected with a student at actually both Holcomb Elementary and Wiley Elementary. The teachers are loving this program. The kids are very consistent in coming. That was one of the things that sometimes we would miss with our big brothers and big sisters, is it just wasn't consistent enough. But the kids are doing a great job, so very happy with that so far. Also, just a shout out for those that keep our facilities. Just in a comparison, I had a couple that mentioned, sometimes going to other places, they aren't kept quite as nicely, and it's just a real shout out to, our crews that keep our, just restrooms and, everything nice and neat. So I wanted to make sure that I passed that information along. Also, just to add on to my board report, one of the things that has been really cool this year in our second year with CKLA is seeing the way the teachers are able to make connections between what we're learning in our CKLA curriculum, which is for ELA, for our reading and writing, but then also being able to connect it with our science and our social studies curriculum as well. Right now, in fourth grade, they are doing geology, and then in third grade, they're doing space. So one of the things, when I talked to one of the third grade teachers, she said it's just really nice. We do a lot of hard work during the ELA time, really getting into a lot of information about space, but then we can use our science time to do some hands-on things, and they love Mystery Science and Mystery Doug. And so they can, partake in some of that, but they've really done some hard work and have a lot of background knowledge on it too. So I assume this is the first year that our fourth grade has gotten, I think, to the geology in CKLA. So, I would assume that there will be a lot of great connections with that too, but very pleased with that. And I can only assume that as we get we're more familiar with it, we'll be able to draw on more of those connections.
If I may, I want to follow up on the Connection 360 program Randy just mentioned. This is a case of, we're doing Big Brothers and Big Sisters for a long time. Okay? And I cannot remember if the original ask came from the principals or from the counselors, but eventually it got to me. And the idea being, we try to schedule things in, but they're continually, it's just not working. We would like to build our own. I said, well, what's that look like? What do you mean? It's like a year ago. Talk through it. And so they went away, they built it, brought it to me. Of course, some polishing here and there, and made sure everybody's on board. I said, all right, go you forth. Let's go. Let's give it a try. And so we're doing it now, and it sounds like it's highly successful. So anytime we can get the high school kids in with the elementary kids, to me, that's a good thing. And particularly, the kids who need the big brothers type relationship, we can provide it ourselves. We don't have to have somebody from across the way come and tell us how to do it. We can figure out how to do it ourselves. So good on the counselors, good on the principals, good on the teachers.
Thank you, Randy. All right, so you covering
I'll do
Tyler?
it, yeah. Tyler's out of town because of a family medical emergency. The one extra thing he wanted me to add is we have to do crisis drills. This is part of schools like tornado drills and fire drills. We have to do crisis drills. Well, he got to thinking about it. Our spot, if we ever have to empty the middle school, where they're supposed to go is the bank basement, the basement of the bank. They've never really bothered to see if it will hold our student population. So coming up soon, there will be it's a drill, but they're going to go down there and just basically make sure we fit. Now, we will advertise the heck out of it. We'll make sure everybody in the world knows this is just something we're doing to measure 3 times before we cut type situation. But good on Tyler for having the vision to, hey, let's go check that out, see if we will fit.
Somebody's gonna say, what is going on at the middle school?
How many are at the middle school?
I don't know, bunch,
300?
300, yeah.
They won't fit down there.
Well, then we'll be looking for another spot. But you're right, Ryan, I don't care how well we advertise it. Somebody's going to know that the reason we left that building is because of something really nefarious.
So if the middle school goes there, where's the elementary go?
Where you guys go? Do you know? If we have to evacuate your building? The rec?
Ron's Market.
Yes, we would go to the rec, but, I mean, if it was something where we all had to, like, if it's something like intruder, we don't have one specific.
Right. And you're not supposed to have a rallying spot for an intruder. You're supposed to run. Just go. Get away.
Talking like for a fire?
Or what Garden City High School faced 2 weeks ago. That kind of thing, where we just need to get out of the building, that kind of thing. Right. Well, in the high school, go to the middle school. I mean, it's just, we've just got to be flexible in this thing. But
Go to the
I feel like Garden City High School, there were a bunch of them were in the stadium.
yeah, that's what.
They were in the football stadium.
And we could use you're right, we could use the FFA barn as well. So, or the school barn.
Yes,
Okay,
the school FFA board.
that's it.
All right, Mr. Johnson.
Whoa. You just raised the bar over your colleagues' presentations.
Well, try. One time.
Thank you, sir.
We're gonna
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
So part of our pre-enrollment night that is coming up right after spring break, we are having the 8th graders come over like we always do to do pre-enrollment so that we can get classes for the next year put in. With that being said is the graduating class of 2028, so that's the current 8th graders, have different graduation requirements. That's where the state board have passed, I think it was a year and a half ago, the new graduation requirements. And so what you have before you is a kind of a breakdown of what the graduation requirements are, the new ones. The white sheet with the orange highlight, that's what our current graduating class credits have to be. I'm not gonna go through all of it with you because it's pretty self-explanatory. The biggest difference that you're gonna see on the new graduation credits compared to the old graduation credits have to do with the old graduation credits allowed for 8 electives. The new graduation credits have cut down the number of electives but made more required classes. So it doesn't change the amount of classes they have to take or the amount of credits needed in order to graduate. It just changes a little bit of some of the requirements. If you take a look at the new graduation credits, there's a 1 credit of STEM that's added into it, and the possible options of a STEM would be listed below, like a fourth year of math, a fourth year of science, or any application level CTE course. And the application level CTE course is like your very highest level of your CTE courses. So any one of those that they take, for example, entrepreneurship in FFA, that would be considered a application level class because they've had to go through all the different process for it. It'd also be like your advanced welding. So in our welding pathway where we have beginner, intermediate, and then the advanced welding, if they take the advanced welding class, that counts as a STEM class because it's your last level of that CTE class. Another one that is required is the 0.5 credit financial literacy class. That's a half a credit that has to be taught to every student that's graduating in 2028. We're currently looking to see where the best fit is at, for what level. We're in discussions right now to try to find out. We think seniors is too late. You want to try to have that before, but also are freshmen and sophomore ready for financial literacy? If that's the case, junior year seems to be really heavy on required classes also when you're having to take like American history and you're still having to get your 3 years of math and 3 years of science and 3 years of English. So we're trying to find the best fit. We're going to start talking to teachers about that too, where they think is the best fit, and then also talk to the admin. I mean, we'll eventually decide where that's going to go. Now, the thing about we offer a financial literacy right now, it can't be that financial literacy class because it can't be a part of your CTE pathway. It has to be outside of your CTE pathway, which if you're thinking about it, it's probably smart that they say that because then they would have to pay out a bunch of funds because then every kid in Kansas has to go through the pathway, and now they're paying, extra waiting for one of your pathways that you have. Besides that, you can see down at the bottom, there's not all the way at the bottom, but the second one, 4.5 credits have to be in IPS or CTE electives. That's going to go along with our IPS system that we're going to develop, that we're right now working K-12, but it's what their area of interest is. So making sure that they're taking some of the credits in their area of interest with it. Now, the last thing is probably the one that's probably the most different, and it says 2 post-secondary assets. If you turn to the second page, by the time that they graduate, they've had to have 2 of those post-secondary assets. The post-secondary assets are the bulleted points there on the second page. We have to find a way to track that. They did come back and say that the schools are going to be in charge of tracking their own post-secondary assets and how you're going to mark that and identify that through your schedule. So you can kind of read down through some of them. A lot of our kids, I think the things that we're pretty lucky at our school is our kids are really involved. You go back to the sub-state games this last night, Coach Young Teeter said that anybody, if they had 150 kids in the student section that signed up, that they would play games in strength class this week instead of having to lift. He had well over 150 kids in the student section. We have less, because of our early graduation, we have less than 300 kids. So if you have 150 kids in your student section and you have about 30 kids in your band and you have like 10 cheerleaders, and then you have, everybody else that's there at the concession stand and stuff like that, we have almost most of our kids at those games, right? I mean, so if you're saying the number of kids we have participating in stuff like band and choir and all that kind of different stuff, we're probably going to reach that. The tough schools, I think, are going to be some of your bigger schools. How do they hit these post-secondary assets if they're not involved in some of the different stuff? But that's not really our problem, I guess. But it's one of those things that you call up KSDE and you ask more information about their graduation requirements because there's not a really good field anywhere on their page to say, and they said, we'll give you more information. We'll have more information to come. We'll have more information to come. But kudos to Mrs. Johnson. She dug into all this and then made a printer-friendly version of something that you can understand so that you can see the difference in it and stuff. But we just wanted the board to be aware of we're going to start talking to 8th graders right after spring break, parents, and so they'll be talking about the new graduation requirements, and we're going to give you guys a heads up of some of the stuff that it was going to look like.
So probably get it into the handbook for next year? You
Yeah.
think? Yeah.
Yeah, it'll have to be,
It becomes reality once the board takes action on it.
we don't necessarily have to have it in the handbook for next year because it won't be into 2028 that it has to.
We can write
be
it in a
done.
manner that
So,
incoming freshmen or something. We'll
yeah,
figure it out.
it's going to be kind of a funky because you're going to have 2 separate graduation requirements that's listed in there
Yep.
until 2028 goes. So, you guys have any questions on any of it?
How often does the state reevaluate or make changes like this to the graduation standards?
Not very often at all is what it seems like. I know I didn't pay attention a whole lot whenever I was an AD, but they started this process probably 4 or 5 years ago where they did their touring tours, I guess, and then they built a committee out of all the different areas of the state to look and say what are some of the things that they wanted to see. Now, some of the stuff that hasn't been in here that they've talked about is being able to embed some of your credits within some of your classes. So like where it says at the top, 0.5 credit effective communication, you can embed that into an English class if you show proficiency on standards. And so part of the thing you're starting to hear about language is you can pick up maybe embedding geometry credit into a welding if you can show that welding is showing proficiency on those standards. So it goes back to your standards-based alignment and standards-based grading a little bit, that if you can prove those standards are being mastered in this other section, then you can start to put that into there. Now, you start asking the state about, well, what's that look like and how do you prove that and all that kind of stuff, and they said more information will come. But that's how you're starting to see some of these things that they're starting to do is how it's really starting to be more standards aligned.
Here's a new requirement. What do we do? We'll let you know.
I think that's why
But we
Mrs.
expect you to meet it.
Yeah.
I think that's why Mrs. Johnson made a joke at the end and said more details to come. It's because that's what we kept getting told. So
We've heard that more than once in more than one conversation. Yep.
Thanks, Jerry. All right, let's move to unfinished business and the JAG agreement.
Yeah, this is an annual event, or annual thing we need to take care of if we decide to stay with the JAG program. I recommend that you do stay with the JAG program. It's cheaply bought for $12,750. A lot of our kids go through that program. It's a focus on success skills, if you will. People call them soft skills. I call them success skills. And so it's just time to make the motion to stick with it. It's cheaply bought because you don't do it just for this reason, but a teaching position is minimally $47,000 plus insurance, and it's $60,000. This is $12,750, so that's on sale, and it's an important part of our schedule. So I recommend the board approve of the partnership agreement with JAG-K for next year.
I move to.
Jill?
Second.
Jill and Ryan Ruda. It's been moved and seconded to approve the partnership agreement with JAG-K. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, engagement letter with Kennedy McKee.
This is also a yearly action. They were here, Pat was here last month to go over the audit report. They do a very thorough job. They've been with, I don't know how many years they've been with us, well before my time. And they're very thorough job of scrutinizing our business practices. We need good, positive, critical friends like this. I've got zero interest in going shopping. It's up by $535 for next year, but then the following year, it should go down because we won't have to do the single audit thing anymore. The single audit thing is if you make more than $750,000 in federal funds. Well, we're doing that because of the ESSER money. Well, a year from now, that money's gone. So I would anticipate this contract to go down, not for next year, but the following year. So I recommend approval of the proposed contract for next year with Kennedy McKee and Company.
So move.
Second.
Curtis and Ryan Schreibel. It's moved and seconded to approve the contract, to approve the proposed contract for next year for Kennedy McKee and Company. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, capital projects
Okay, and
update.
I've asked Garrett to come to the microphone. You got it turned on? Just in case you need more information, pertinent information, or detailed information I'm not able to give you. I've added 2 more items to discuss on here, WES well and daycare. So I'm going to start at the top, concession stand, restroom. The demo obviously has been done, but then now they've discovered that there is a leak, and Lord knows how long it's been going on, in the irrigation underneath that, because it's been wet now for how long, Garrett?
It's been pretty wet for a while. We haven't ran it for 3 months and never
Yeah.
saw any water, and it's
And I'm truly shocked we didn't get a sinkhole there. I mean, if water had been moving somehow, it would have been bad. So anyway, this is a change order. I mean, our choice is to do it. So I've greenlit that. We're going to be doing it. And then capping that off and running a different irrigation line. So that takes care of that. The parking lot over here by the Wiley Elementary, we're waiting on the final approvals from the engineer. It's a fascinating tale to tell. At times they say stamped plans, other times they say no stamped plans. At times they say Garden City's got to approve it, other times Holcomb's got to approve it. All I know is we're down to the end, we think, where we're going to get the approval from the engineer. Desiree is helping us with this, Desiree from the architecture group. And our plan is to put in crushed limestone. And that's there for a little while because there's some proviso in the Holcomb codicils that say you can't have dust or something. Yeah. So
We live in dust.
you're not supposed to. So
Mother Nature
if
gives
somebody would
us.
make the motion to say we don't have dust, I'd appreciate. Anyway, so that's moving along. The chiller. April 1 is the ETA. We needed to pour an extended slab because this is just a bigger piece of equipment. It's done. We're just sitting and waiting. It was supposed to be here in January, then February, March.
Wasn't it initially supposed to be here in December?
Yeah. So now April 1. And, as we get back from spring break, I'll be calling Mike, is the guy's name, Mike Highland. Say, hey, where are we? What's going on? They built those things over in Pueblo. You'd think they'd just bring it to us, but okay. The FOB project, if you recall, we're replacing all the FOBs in the district. High school is now finished.
Yep.
Right.
High school's finished.
Where are they going next?
High school and Wiley's finished. They're finishing their wiring up at the middle school and the elementary,
And then they'll do here
and then
last.
here last.
Yep. So moving along, HES playground. If you recall, we're wanting to resurface the playground out here, like over at Wiley. Randy and maybe working with Garrett, I'm sure, but wrote a grant. We've not heard back anything, have we?
No, I'm on it right now.
Okay. We're hoping that we'll get it up. We got it originally, then once or twice already they've turned us down. Well,
They've turned us down 2 years. We got it in 2021 for Wiley.
right. So we'll keep you apprised as that comes down the pike. That's a great playground over there now with that being done. I'm skipping over welding project till the end. This is a new one, kicking the shins. The WES well. It's been having problems for a while, low water pressure. This is the irrigation well, by the way. And we provide water to the rec with this as well for their baseball field.
Where's the well at?
Right
there
by
by
El
El
Rancho.
Rancho.
Right by El Rancho. It was having problems, brought in a group with a camera, and 208 feet down, they found a 4-foot gash in the casing. So now we're in the process of trying to figure out what's the right way forward. Garrett was just telling me prior to this meeting that the experts with whom he's been discussing this, they're fearful of putting a casing on it because, or just replacing the sleeve, if you will, because the hole's only 8 or 10 inches in diameter, circumference, I don't know which one it is, and the sleeve would be like 8 inches. And so then the fear is if we ever had to pull the motor or whatever, it's not a coming. So now, the very last thing he said to me as I walked in the meeting was they're thinking we should just dig a new well. It has to be within how many feet?
300 feet.
300?
Yeah.
We were talking about that.
So, we don't have estimates, but Garrett from previous work said somebody had dug a well and is, $60,000, $70,000. The least expensive way, the most cost-efficient way is put a new sleeve on that puppy. But you might, if something were to happen, now that was dug in 1967, by the way, so it's been around for a while. So we'll just have to see as the numbers come in.
They can't pull the pump, sleeve it, and then put a smaller pump down the hole.
That's the part they're looking at, and they're still fearful because our original hole was at 10 inch with the water that we need going with the 6 inch pump. He's afraid, doesn't wanna go down to a 4-inch, cause then we won't have the water that we're needing.
So in the meantime, because it's offline now, Garrett's working with Tony to find out if we can flip the switch and go on city water for a period. Because this, once again, this is irrigation at Wiley and Holcomb as well, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Cheaper to dig a well.
So,
Yep.
well,
Where's our next closest well? Do we
Out of the
time
high
it
school.
back?
high school.
high school, yeah.
Yeah, but there's gallons per year limits on those, and we approach
right.
those limits every year.
Yeah. So, sometimes, I mean, I don't like throwing good money after bad. And sometimes you just have to eat fast and get it done. And, you know, dig a new well within 300 feet, I guess. So that'll be interesting. That'll be happening in the next month. We'll be making determinations on this puppy. Daycare, if you recall, that's back on the radar. As we speak, Garrett is pricing modulars for us. We're advantaged because Keisha ran her own daycare for a long time, and Sean gave me a connection of somebody who knows about this stuff as well. And so we'll continue to gather information. We can do. It's legal to have modulars as long as it's anchored down. You don't even have to put an apron on it. Interestingly enough, but we dress it up. The idea is over here on the west side of the maintenance side of the complex over there. There's plenty of parking. There's no infrastructure underneath there. There's no water, no lines or gas or anything. So as we move down this, I believe it's a need to have a daycare. But getting the modular, getting it set and all that kind of good stuff, that's one thing. Getting everything through the KDHE is another thing. But we won't fail for lack of trying. So we're moving down that path.
Won't you have to run sewer, water, electric, all that? to the
Probably.
Modular over there, where are you gonna run the sewer to?
That's decisions to be made.
Well, right there on the entrance, on the north sides where we used to have the district office,
Yeah, but there's probably an old septic tank there where that was.
we could just tie into it.
As long as we don't have dirt or dust, we'll be okay. We'll get grandfathered in, Matt, right?
Just drive around.
I mean, other option, I mean, we were gonna originally, if you guys recall, about 5 years ago, we were looking at putting it over here, and then COVID hit, and after even prior to that, got really frustrated working with KDHE and the fire marshal, both of them trying to be in charge.
The room that we were gonna put it in over here is no longer available.
It's now the Longhorn Learning Lab, and it gets used, so.
That was what I
And it wouldn't be just, let's open it, we'd have to knock a door, I mean, there's plenty of work to
all
be done.
kinds of safety.
So all the schools around here that have got daycares are all modular building homes. It's just so much easier to do. Moscow, Sublette, Hugoton, Satana, Elkhart.
So we're looking at options. Final thing to talk to you about, the welding project with the Garden City Community College. Met with Dr. Ruda and Mark Malone the other day, and the numbers came in higher than anticipated as far as to retrofit that building, that room over there, in the 280 range, somewhere in there. Originally, the thinking might have been, come in and, Garden City foots the bill, and then we pay the electrical and long-term, that kind of thing. Now it looks like that probably won't work. So we're looking at additional revenue options. We currently have 23 kids in welding. That's what we currently have. If we were to do this, I'm not saying it would double, but it would go up. The number of kids in welding would go up. And that's a CTE funded program. So whatever, if we decided to put money to it, it would come back to us over time. It might be 10 years, but that's okay because we're educating kids on how to weld. I mean, it's an important skill to have, particularly in this area with all the building taking place. I'm going to reach out to Deerfield and Lakin to see if they might want to be involved, because if they want to be involved, then they could bring money to the table as well to help with the offsetting the. You can always try.
Football field.
You can always try. So I think it's a quality project. It's just got to know if you want to continue working on it. We're not taking a vote tonight, by any means.
$280,000
It's a lot of money.
Ventilation, electric.
compared to the other stuff we've been doing. It's like
Is
nothing.
there a way to, maybe this is a dumb question, but is there a way to incorporate that daycare somewhere over there by the high school and then turn that into some type of a CTE program where high school kids take a class to help with part of the day of that daycare, and then they learn daycare skills, and it becomes a pathway towards
Yeah, right.
something.
In theory, yes. And there are high schools that have that, you know, and partly done, usually urban districts, because they want to keep the kids in school. So if someone's had a baby at 16, it used to be the dropout. And you talk about a path to poverty, that's how that occurs. So yes, in theory, Curtis, but we're right back to this facility. We'd have to do whatever it takes to get it through the KDHE, and, you know, let's build it. We got plenty of parking, and we do have space, but choosing which one it would be. But
Plenty of grass over there that we're watering that we wouldn't have to if we built something on it.
we'd put a double wide there,
Put it out of sight, out of mind on the back here.
back by the
Middle school and high school.
by the generator, or where the band marches, maybe. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we're in process on that one as well. But back on the welding project itself, we got here. We wanted to grow the CTE programs. We wanted to grow AP. We wanted to grow early childhood. We've done all three of those things, but we continue to grow. I would love to have the building trades program, whether it's CTE funded or not. That's actually immaterial to me. It'd be nice if it were, but I'd rather have a building trades program than a cabinetry program. And so if we do continue to move forward with the Garden City program, then the idea would be to retrofit what is the current welding area into something else. Given all the fiscals and all this, we're going to slow it down. We're slowing this down because for us to get to our new money anyway, we got to get to July anyway. But it's not going to launch come August. I mean, and that's if we get the amendment. I'm sure at some point in time, Ryan would have to sign a memorandum of understanding or agreement or something. You know, the lawyers would have to play. But I've got no problems. I don't want to lose the funding, but if, let's say we move forward and we could open it in January, I say open it. You know, we've missed the funding window. That's all about September 20th. But if you launched it, then we could continue. It would continue. There'd be 14 new bays is what it would be. So, questions about the capital projects? We'll look around the high school for the daycare area.
It's already level.
Yeah, it is. It's an interesting thing that we don't have tennis.
You build some pickleball courts over there, somebody will use them.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. Nothing? Matt?
I'm good.
On it, there's no brand new sign.
I saw that. All right, let's move
Thanks,
to
Eric.
new business and SWP interlocal agreement.
Yeah, this takes
Southwest
place
Plains.
every 5 years. Basically, this action item here would allow us to remain a member of Southwest Plains Regional Service Center. We don't use them for a ton of stuff, but we do use them. They do professional learning for us. Gayla Lofink has come around for multiple years now to help with educating teachers and paras. A real big piece of it is our PDC plan, which has to be put to the state. They house it for us. Our bill this year is $15,066. I'm assuming it'll be similar to that. And we pretty well get to control how much we spend there by saying we don't want that anymore, or we'll take that, or whatever it is. So there's a proposed motion there for you to use. If somebody would, it's in bold underneath in the background area. I recommend the board pass a motion for the district to renew our membership with the Service Center.
So moved. 2, move to approve Holcomb USD 363 of being a member of the Southwest Plains Regional Service Center for a 5-year term commencing July 1, 2024 and continuing through June 30, 2029.
Second.
Ryan, Rita, and Jill. Been moved and seconded to approve of the membership with the Service Center for a 5-year term. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, summer sports transportation.
This is just a part of normal business as well. However many years ago, the district decided to do, well, Acacia changed the rules 8 years ago to allow district-owned vehicles to be used for student organizations or teams to go to camps and whatnot during the summertime. We have guidelines in place that basically say, bring it back clean, don't mess it up. If so, we're probably going to assess you a fine. In my time here, we've never had any issues with it whatsoever. I think we ought to keep it going. So I recommend approval of the request to allow the use of district vehicles for teams to attend summer camps.
So moved.
Second.
Jill and Ryan Schreiber. It's been moved and seconded to allow the use of district vehicles for teams to attend summer camps. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, executive session.
It says 20, but I really think you probably need 30.
Okay. Okay, let's see. What do we go into executive session for 30 minutes, starting at 6:55 to allow have Dr. Myers
And include the principals as called.
and principals as needed.
So moved.
Jill,
Second.
Curtis. Been moved and seconded to go into executive session at 7:55 for 30 minutes. All those in favor say aye. Opposed?
Okay, they'll turn your.
Turn the mics back on.
And you know, so it's just like freaking 1A.
Good. All right. We are back in session. I need a motion to hire Melinda Levine as a fourth grade teacher for the 24-25 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan Shrivogel and Curtis. It's been moved and seconded to hire Melinda Levine. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I need a motion to hire Blake Freeland as a fifth grade ELA social studies teacher for the 24-25 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Jill and Curtis. It's been moved and seconded to hire Blake Freeland. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I need a motion to hire Sonia Youthy, or is it Youth?
Yes.
As a full-time cook.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan Shrivogel and Jill. It's been moved and seconded to hire Sonia. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to approve the supplementals as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Shrivogel and Curtis. It's been moved and seconded to hire the supplementals as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let me get this opened back up. Come on, workspace.
Want me to read it?
Want me to read
Nope. I got it. I'm here. Okay. All right. Let me get there. I need a motion to give each principal a 3% raise to his or her salary plus the following additional benefits. Amy Albright, a cell phone stipend of $65 a month. Randy Tyne, add an additional $50 per month to her 403B. Tyler Helton, to remove the tuition-related benefits and add $2,000 to his salary to commemorate the completion of his doctorate degree. And Jerry Johnson, an additional $100 per month for insurance.
So moved. Second.
We'll have Ryan Ruda and Jill. Moved and seconded to approve the principal's pay as presented. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
That's it?
I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Jill and Ryan Ruda. It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
That was a lot better than last month.
Just fly right through it. Thank you.
Did you have a monster?
Had one right before